Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is episode 174 of the Mediocre Alaskan Podcast. Doing a solo episode today as I'm looking over what I want to apply for in the Alaska draws. I was talking with Jaden, the Wyoming correspondent, and I was asking him about this perception versus reality. I got to the point in November where it just felt like everything had been shot by the end of the month, and so I wasn't hunting correctly. I wasn't taking it nice and slow. I was walking way too far, and I was walking way too loud, and I kind of, got stuck in my head that, too many people had been hunting it during the week, and there was nothing left, and so that was kind of messed up. And so I was talking with Jaden along that same sort of thread that, is it bad, or what happens when you have these entrepreneurs or these apps that help you get tags, help you know what tags to put in for? And I don't know if I was feeling super cynical or if I was just kind of reflecting on what that new phenomenon is. And I think content, the word I hate, in the outdoor realm has expanded the notion of what it is to be a hunter. It's not limited to just the area in which you hunt. The idea of being a hunter now it's almost assumed that you're going to be chasing a variety of species over numerous states. Because you just can't help. I don't know how anybody can just not be curious about what else is out there. So even if you're, living in Alaska or you're living, it doesn't matter where you're living, you got to be curious about what else is out there. And so I think because of that wider definition of what it is to be a hunter, we become exposed to different hunts and different experiences that we want to go experience, right? So, gosh, I wonder what Wyoming's like. I wonder what Colorado's like. Yeah, I've gotten blacktail here, but what would a blacktail in in Washington be? And so because of that, it gives rise, obviously, to people who allow or people who try to connect you with opportunities in those hunts and those tag finding apps or those services or those subscriptions that connect you with ways and information about hunting different areas. And it was super interesting. And so I was feeling maybe a little bit cynical. And I didn't want to chastise those apps, and I wanted to talk to Jaden because Jaden's pretty informed in that, and he lives in Wyoming, and so I wanted to kind of get his opinion first and just kind of steer me back on course, man, because I know he's gonna shoot straight and he's got a different insight, and so rather than just rail against all these people who were saying go to Alaska and do this hunt and this and that, which as a local I can think, gosh dang, I'm never gonna draw that goat hunt tag that's in Ketchikan's backyard because too many people apply for it because too many people talk about it. So before I just berate these services that help you connect with points, I just asked Jaden, and he said that those sort of services actually spread people out, which I thought was a great point. And that was the exact thing that I was looking for. I'll tell you what I texted. I said the content. I texted him beginning of this month. I said content went. Is the proliferation of things like Go Hunt to get people into good public land spots, pushing it back to where only rich people who can travel have access to the hunts. Only this time it's rich people on public land. Is the modern hunt content world pushing the very guy it was supposed to represent out in favor of the wealthy person who can afford a ton of tags and points and travel? So that was a question, not a statement, but I was feeling that maybe that's what I was, very territorial. Of course, this is ironic because I went down to Wyoming and I benefited from Jaden knowing about a good spot to hunt mule deer. And so I'd be a total hypocrite if I didn't say that I was not, I didn't benefit from someone who had that sort of insider knowledge. So I just wanted him to kind of set me straight. He said, I'm not sure the average guy was ever into much traveling. Loss of opportunity is pushing it to a rich people's game more than anything in the content world. So the loss of opportunity thing, I'm glad that he brought that up. That was good. And then also he said, definitely wouldn't say people ever left public land hunting. If anything, Go Hunt has the chance to spread people out, in his opinion. I thought that's a great point. I was just looking at it from the perspective that if I try to get someplace in Wyoming, if I don't buy that service, if I don't buy a subscription, and this is not to knock on Go Hunt, Go Hunt, there's they provide a service, right? And so they can connect you with hunts. This is not just a trash on Go Hunt, because I think it's a great opportunity for people. But I was feeling, again, a little bit negative towards, or at least asking the questions. And so I'm glad that Jaden was able to set me straight there. And I really like that idea that it's spreading people out. And so people are looking for those best sort of options. And then people who might not have the means to travel too much, maybe they can get something, over in the next state. Someone in Colorado's never going to draw. They got in late to hunting. They're never going to draw a premium sort of tag. But maybe there's something across in the state, like the Jeff Lund version of someone that's living in Kansas or Nebraska or Wyoming, that can then get access to something. And I think that's great. And so I changed my opinion a little bit, I guess, in that moment of those sort of services and the proliferation of information about all the different hunts out there. I guess I was also kind of thinking about this after talking to Brad last week about steelhead fishing. And there have been articles that I've written where people kind of want information about, the how-to, and if you're going to go. And I'm like, I don't want to divulge that. I don't want to, in the name of writing this magazine article, kind of ruin it for myself, just for some money. So, it is interesting to just look at going forward, and because the perception is that to be a well-rounded hunter, I don't know if it's perception, but there's just a lot of different hunts that I want to do. I've been connected with those sort of hunts because of reading content, watching videos, all those sort of things. Man, it really makes me want to go on this mule deer hunt. It really makes me want to go on an elk hunt. It really makes me want to axis deer, all that sort of stuff. I want to do all that sort of stuff as a hunter. It's not just a regional type thing. There's a lot of stuff in Alaska that I want to do, and I think that was the main thing. Rather than worry too much about point creep and the fact that I'll probably never draw a premium elk tag anywhere, and I'll have to just try to make something work. There's a lot of hunts in Alaska. I'm looking through what I want to apply for, but there's so many things over the counter. So before I start chastising or getting upset about people like Go Hunt that are offering people doing kind of the research for them, I need to get off my butt and I need to look at some of the hunts that are affordable for me here. Why am I bemoaning these sort of services when I have opportunities here? And I should be able to do these well here before I start worrying about point creep and the fact that I'll never draw an Idaho. Well, why should I worry about it? I'm never going to draw that tag, so don't worry about it,
After years of fine print contracts and getting ripped off by big wireless providers, if we've learned anything, it's that there's always a catch. So when I first heard that Mint Mobile offers premium wireless starting at just $15 a month, I thought, what's the catch? But after talking to them and using their service, it all made sense. There isn't one. Mint Mobile's secret sauce is that they're the first company to sell wireless service online only. They cut out the cost of retail stores and pass those sweet savings directly to you. For anyone who hates their phone bill, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. I was hesitant about having to get a new phone and a new phone number, but with Mint, you can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone and your same phone number along with all of your existing contacts. Mint Mobile gives you the best rate whether you're buying for one or for a family, and at Mint, families start at 2 lines. All plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and to get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/waypoint. That is mintmobile.com/waypoint. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/waypoint.
What are some things that you can do here over the counter in Alaska? Spend the money on that, all right, rather than worry about how many years it's going to take and how much money it's going to take to buy the license that's not, if you don't draw it, you don't get any refund back, and so you spend 5 years and hundreds and hundreds of dollars in Arizona to try to get an elk tag or whatever it is. Dude, spend that money going north somewhere here as an in-state resident. All right, stop whining and complaining about what's going on down south. But I think that might come along with it. And again, I might be overstating my negativity toward Go Hunt at the beginning. It was just a question, and I'm glad I knew that Jaden would kind of set me straight on that. But there's definitely that perception that some of these people are talking too much or they're sharing too much. And that may or may not be true. Ultimately, it's still you, or it's still me in the woods, me doing the job, and my experience. So, just some interesting thoughts there about the perception versus reality, that it's going to get more and more crowded, and that things like Go Hunt are going to ruin the hunting world. That's certainly not true. The local people know about the good hunts already, and they're the people who are going to most likely be using it. And as Jaden said, it is that loss of habitat that's going to be the biggest thing going forward. One of the spots that I was really looking forward to this year, I had some game cameras up, got logged, and I was afraid for my game cam. But man, I had some nice bucks on camera back there, and I'd seen some last year when I was hunting archery, and then this year I come in and there's roads everywhere, and it's been totally logged. And so as soon as I found out how to hunt that spot, now I got to go find somewhere else. But that's just part of it. It was never mine to begin with. That's kind of the problem, I guess, with the public landowner type idea, is that we might get some sort of sense of entitlement, like this is my ground or this is my whatever. I paid the money as a visitor, that I'm entitled to go hunt this or go do this, and just like everybody else, man. Like it's not mine. It's my buddy Ryan likes to say, it's not my spot, it's just my turn. And so it's nice to have some conversation within that. You can surround yourself with a bunch of hunters who are going to say the same thing about, blaming the non-resident people, and they're the one that's ruined it for everybody. And the reason I'm not going to ever draw this is because of the non-residents. And I think that's why a lot of the states went like a preference point thing, where you could put your points in, that way you could have a better chance of drawing, which ends up not being fair. Alaska's the fairest because you don't accumulate points. So I have every bit the same opportunity of drawing the goat tag in my backyard as someone else from Delaware on their first ever hunt. So do I want fairness, or do I want an inside track? And if I want an inside track, I then can't say, Wyoming, I'll never draw this and all these points, and it's point creep. Well, you can't have it both ways. So it's nice to be able to talk those things out. Again, hunters and anglers, just like everybody else, can get really set in their minds and not really challenge their views. So it was nice that Jaden was there to kind of provide me a different perspective. And I would have never really thought of those services, those tag hunting services, as opportunities to spread hunters out. That's a good point. I like that. So getting toward the end of the year, got duck season for another 2 weeks, which should be fun. Got mallard yesterday. Did some crawling, and I was able to jump a couple, and then right as they were taking off, I got one, which was great. So I'm going to roast that up. First time I've ever roasted duck before, so I'm pretty excited for that. 2 more weeks of the year, pretty much for hunting, and I got 2 more days to figure out what I want to apply for tags, and pretty stoked. Pretty stoked for the new year. There's going to be a lot of opportunities going forward, and I think if anything this year, I've kind of looked at not the outdoors as just being a location to meet some sort of end. I think the outdoors is just kind of the end itself. Appreciate being able to be out there, and I know I obviously lost track of that a bunch of times this year, but there's a lot of people who are locked up who didn't have the chance. They weren't able to go on that hunt of a lifetime. Even when parks closed down, either because of fires or because of the lockdown, like you can't even go to parks. You can't go out in the ocean. You can't. It's crazy. So the fact that I'm able to just look outside and look at spruce trees and hemlock trees and go outside and walk around, and my hunting up here was not at all impacted by COVID. So that's not everybody can do that. And so it was just that freedom to not only get out, but then also to hunt. So both parts really were I think, a lot more valuable. Or I was more in tune to those sort of things this year than previous years, because I didn't really, I didn't want to take it for granted that I could at least get outside. And so I try to kind of cherish those opportunities more, and then definitely getting something was even better, even richer, because that's, again, something that a lot of people were deprived of this year because of the response to the virus. So we'll call that episode 174. Make sure you check out the MediocreAlaskan.com for more content, my favorite word, and I'll talk to you next time.